Hello, my friend. I am so glad you are here. Take a deep breath and get comfortable. Today, we are going to talk about a man who changed the world with his mind and his heart. His name is Bill Gates. You might know him as the richest man in the world for a long time. But his story is not just about money. It is about curiosity, failure, hard work, and learning how to care. And as you listen, your English will grow stronger. So do not worry about every word, just listen. Feel the story. Let's let it carry you. Bill Gates was born in Seattle, Washington in 1955. That is a city in the northwest part of the United States. His family was comfortable. They were not poor, but they were not super rich either. His father was a lawyer. His mother was a businesswoman and a community leader. Bill had two sisters, one older and one younger. They lived in a nice house with a big yard. But Bill was different from other kids. He was very smart, but he was also very shy. He did not like to talk to new people. He felt strange and awkward in social situations. He preferred to stay in his room and read. He read books about science and history. He read encyclopedias. That is a big set of books with information about everything. He read them from beginning to end. Imagine that. A young boy reading thousands of pages just because he was curious. His parents did not know what to do with him. Sometimes they worried. They thought he was too quiet. They thought he needed to be more normal. So they sent him to a therapist. That is a doctor who helps people with their feelings. The therapist talked to Bill for many months. And you know what? The therapist said Bill was just fine. He was just very smart and very focused. And he needed something interesting to do with his brain. His parents listened. They decided to send him to a private school called Lakeside. That school was very different from his old school. It had small classes and good teachers. And in the 1960s, something new appeared at Lakeside. Something magical. A computer. But this was not like the computers we have today. It was huge and slow. It did not have a screen. It had a typewriter and a printer. Students had to write commands on a special paper. Then the computer would print back the answer. It was not fun to look at. But for young Bill, it was love at first sight. He was 13 years old. He spent every free moment in that computer room. He learned a language called BASIC. That is a way to talk to the computer. He wrote small programs and games. He was not just good at it, he was amazing. His teachers noticed right away. And he found a friend there, a boy named Paul Allen. Paul was 2 years older than Bill. He was also crazy about computers. They became best friends very quickly. They would sit for hours and write code together. Code is the set of instructions that tells a computer what to do. They made a tic-tac-toe game. They made a program that counted things. They were having so much fun. And they did not know it then. But that friendship would change the world. But life is not just fun and games. When Bill was in high school, something terrible happened. He had another friend named Kent Evans. Kent was also very smart. He and Bill worked together on computer projects. They planned to start a company one day. They dreamed big dreams together. But one day, Kent went on a mountain climbing trip. He fell, and he died. Bill was completely shocked. He could not believe it. His friend was gone, just like that. For weeks, Bill felt empty. He stopped eating much. He did not want to talk. His parents were very worried. But slowly, Bill found a way to deal with the pain. He worked. He worked on computers all the time. He thought that if he worked hard enough, he could forget the sadness. That did not really work, but it pushed him forward. He realized that life is short. You do not have forever. If you want to do something big, you have to start now. That lesson stayed with him for the rest of his life. When Bill finished high school, he did something very smart. He got a perfect score on a big test. That allowed him to go to Harvard University. Harvard is one of the best schools in the world. His parents were so proud. They thought Bill would become a lawyer like his father, or maybe a professor. But Bill had other plans. At Harvard, he felt lonely again. The classes were hard. The students were very competitive. Bill was smart, but so was everyone else. He did not know what to do with himself. So he did the only thing that made him happy. He played with computers. Harvard did not have a computer for students all the time. So Bill would sneak into the computer lab at night. He would write code until the sun came up. His grades were not great. He almost never went to his classes. His teachers were confused. They thought he was wasting his talent. But Bill did not care. He was waiting for something. He did not know what. Then one day, Paul Allen came to visit him. Paul was working at a company near Boston. He brought a magazine. The magazine had a story on the front page. It was about a new computer called the Altair 8800. This was the first small computer that normal people could buy. It was not very powerful. It had no screen and no keyboard. But it was a real computer that you could own. And the company that made it, Emmet's, needed software. Software is the programs that run on a computer. The magazine said that Emmet's was looking for someone to write a version of the basic language for the Altair. Bill and Paul looked at each other. They knew they could do it. There was just one problem. They did not have an Altair computer. They could not test their code. But Bill had an idea. He read the instructions for the Altair carefully. Then he wrote a fake Altair inside his own mind. He imagined how the real computer would work. And then he and Paul wrote the basic program. They worked day and night for 8 weeks. Bill barely slept. He forgot to eat. His eyes hurt from staring at paper. But he did not stop. Finally, they had a working program. But they had never run it on a real Altair. So Paul flew to New Mexico, where Emmet's was located. He brought the program on a stack of paper. He showed it to the company's boss. The boss said, "Okay, let's see if it works." Paul loaded the program into the Altair. The computer made some noises. Then a message appeared on the screen. The message said something like, "Ready." That meant the program worked. It worked perfectly on the first try. The boss was amazed. Nobody had ever done that before. He offered Bill and Paul a job right there. Bill was still a student at Harvard. But he made a big decision. He decided to leave school. He did not tell his parents at first. He just left. He went to New Mexico to start a company with Paul. They called their company Microsoft. That is short for microcomputer software. It was 1975. Bill was only 20 years old. The first years of Microsoft were very hard. They worked in a small hotel room. They ate cheap pizza every night. They wrote code for many different computers. Sometimes they did not get paid for months. Bill was the boss, but he was also the janitor. He cleaned the bathroom. He answered the phone. He wrote the code. He did everything. Paul was the technical mind. He loved to think about new ideas. Bill loved to make these ideas into real products. They argued a lot. They yelled at each other. But they always respected each other. Other people who worked at Microsoft said it was a crazy place. Bill would walk around the office and ask people hard questions. He wanted to know exactly what they were doing. If they did not know the answer, he would get angry. He would say, "That is not good enough." He pushed everyone very hard. But he also pushed himself harder than anyone. He worked 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. He did not take vacations. He did not have a girlfriend. He did not have hobbies. He just worked. Some people thought he was cold. Some people thought he was strange. But everyone knew he was brilliant. The big turning point came in 1980. A huge company called IBM wanted to build a personal computer. IBM was the biggest computer company in the world. They made giant machines for businesses. But now they wanted to make a small computer for homes and offices. They needed an operating system. An operating system is the most important software on a computer. It controls everything. IBM talked to many companies. They talked to Microsoft too. But Bill had a problem. Microsoft did not have an operating system. They did not know how to make one fast enough. So Bill did something very clever. He found another company that had a simple operating system. He bought it for $50,000. That was not a lot of money. Then he changed the name to MS-DOS. He told IBM, "We have exactly what you need." IBM agreed to use MS-DOS on their new computers. But here is the smartest part. Bill did not sell the operating system to IBM. He only let them use it. He kept the ownership. He told IBM, "You can put MS-DOS on your computers, but other computer companies can also put it on their computers." IBM thought that was fine. They did not think other companies would be important. But they were wrong. In the next few years, many companies made IBM-compatible computers. All of them needed an operating system. And Microsoft had the only one that worked well. So every time someone bought one of those computers, Microsoft got paid a small amount of money. That small amount added up to a huge amount. It added up to billions of dollars. Bill Gates became very rich very fast. He was only 25 years old. But being rich did not make him happy. It made him more driven. He wanted Microsoft to be the most important company in the world. He pushed his employees even harder. He worked even longer hours. He did not trust people easily. He wanted to control everything. Sometimes that made him difficult. In the 1980s and 1990s, Microsoft grew like crazy. They made Windows, which was a new way to use a computer with pictures instead of text. You could click on things with a mouse. That was revolutionary. Windows became the most popular operating system in the world. Almost every computer used it. Microsoft also made Word for writing, Excel for numbers, and PowerPoint for presentations. These programs were everywhere. Bill Gates became a household name. He appeared on magazines and television shows. But he was not a friendly public person. He was awkward and stiff. He did not smile much. He gave long, boring speeches about technology. People thought he was a nerd. They did not hate him, but they did not love him either. They just knew he was the richest man in the world. And that made some people angry. They thought he was too powerful. They thought Microsoft had too much control over the computer industry. Then the government stepped in. In 1998, the United States government sued Microsoft. They said Microsoft was a monopoly. That means a company that has so much power that it hurts competition. The government said Bill used Microsoft's power to force other companies out of business. The trial was very famous. It was on television every day. Bill had to testify. That means he had to answer questions under oath. He was very nervous. He did not do well. He argued with the lawyers. He gave confusing answers. He looked angry and uncomfortable. Many people watched and thought he was arrogant. The judge almost broke up Microsoft into smaller companies. In the end, Microsoft paid a fine and changed some of its business practices, but the company stayed together. Bill learned a hard lesson. He learned that being smart is not enough. You also have to be wise. You have to think about how your actions affect other people. You have to play fair. That was painful for him. He had worked so hard to build Microsoft. And now many people saw him as a villain. That hurt him deeply. For the first time, he started to question himself. Around that same time, something good happened in his personal life. He met a woman named Melinda French. She worked at Microsoft. She was smart and kind. She did not care about his money. She cared about his heart. They started dating. Bill was very shy, but Melinda made him feel safe. They got married in 1994 on a small island in Hawaii. It was a quiet wedding. Only family and close friends came. Bill's mother had cancer at that time. She was very sick. But she came to the wedding. She was so happy to see Bill find love. She died a few months later. That was another terrible loss for Bill. His mother had been his biggest supporter. She always believed in him. Even when he dropped out of Harvard, even when he was difficult, she loved him anyway. After she died, Bill felt lost again. Melinda helped him find his way. She showed him that there is more to life than work. She showed him that money can be used to help people. Slowly, Bill started to change. In the late 1990s, Bill and Melinda started giving money to charities. They gave small amounts at first. Then they gave bigger amounts. They traveled to Africa and saw terrible poverty. They saw children dying from diseases that do not exist in rich countries. They saw families living without clean water. They saw mothers walk for miles just to get medicine. That broke their hearts. Bill thought, I have so much money. I can help these people. I should help these people. In 2000, they started the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It was a huge charity with billions of dollars. Their goal was simple. They wanted to make the world healthier and fairer. They focused on 3 big problems. First, diseases like malaria and polio. Second, poverty and hunger. Third, education and libraries. Bill decided to use his business brain for good. He did not just give money away. He studied the problems carefully. He asked hard questions. He wanted to know exactly how to save a life with $1. He wanted to measure success. That was very different from most charities. Many people said he was cold and calculating even about helping people. But Bill did not care. He wanted results. He wanted to save as many lives as possible. One of his biggest successes was the fight against polio. Polio is a disease that can make children unable to walk. In the 1980s, there were hundreds of thousands of polio cases every year. Bill's foundation gave billions of dollars to vaccinate children. A vaccine is a medicine that prevents a disease. They worked with governments and other charities to reach the poorest villages in the world. They trained local people to give the vaccine. They used maps and data to find every child. It was like a military operation. And it worked. Today, polio is almost gone. There are only a few cases every year. Soon, polio will be only a memory. That is because of Bill Gates. He did not do it alone. But without his money and his brain, it would have taken much longer. He also helped fight malaria. Malaria is a disease spread by mosquitoes. It kills hundreds of thousands of children every year. Bill invested millions in new ways to prevent malaria. They made better bed nets. They made better medicines. They even tried to use genetic engineering to change mosquitoes. That sounds like science fiction, but it is real. And it is saving lives. Bill also changed his own life. In 2008, he stopped working full-time at Microsoft. He gave his daily job to other people. He kept some of his ownership, but he stepped away. That was a very hard decision. Microsoft was his baby. He had built it from nothing. But he knew he had to move on. He said, I have 2 jobs. One is to make money. The other is to give it away, and giving it away is more important. So he became a full-time philanthropist. That means someone who gives time and money to help others. He traveled the world meeting with scientists, doctors, and farmers. He learned about agriculture. He learned about toilets and clean water. He learned about climate change. He never stopped learning. He still read books every week. He still asked hard questions. But now he asked them about poverty, not about software. His friendship with Warren Buffett also changed his life. Warren Buffett is one of the greatest investors in history. He is also very rich. But he is very different from Bill. He is calm and funny. He tells simple stories. Bill learned a lot from him. One day, Warren decided to give most of his money to Bill's foundation. That was a huge gift. It made the foundation even bigger and more powerful. Warren also helped Bill see that being rich is not the point of life. The point is to use what you have to make things better. Bill and Warren became best friends. They laughed together and traveled together. Bill says Warren is like a second father to him. That is a beautiful thing to have at any age. But life is not easy for anyone, not even for the richest man in the world. In 2021, Bill and Melinda announced that they were getting divorced. They had been married for 27 years. They said they could no longer grow together. That was very sad for them and for their 3 children. Bill was quiet about it. He did not talk much in public. He just kept working. He kept giving his money away. He kept traveling and learning. The divorce was hard, but it did not stop him. He said, "We will still work together at the foundation." And they do. That shows strength. That shows maturity. It is not easy to work with someone you are divorced from. But Bill and Melinda do it because they care more about helping others than about their own feelings. That is a powerful lesson. Today, Bill Gates is not the richest man in the world anymore. Other people have passed him. He does not care. He says money is not real. It is just a way to keep score. What is real is the lives you save. The children who do not die from malaria. The families who have clean water. The students who can read because a library was built. That is real. That matters. Bill still works very hard. He still reads 50 books a year. He still writes a blog about science and technology. He still flies around the world to meet with leaders. He is 70 years old now, but he has no plans to stop. He says he will keep working until he dies, because there is so much to do. Climate change is a big problem. New diseases will appear. Poverty still exists in many places. Bill says we have the tools to solve these problems. We just need the will. And he is using his will every single day. So what can we learn from Bill Gates? We can learn that being different is okay. He was a shy, awkward boy who did not fit in, but he did not try to become normal. He followed his curiosity. He found his passion. That passion changed the world. We can learn that failure is not the end. He made mistakes. He was arrogant. He was sued. He lost friends. He got divorced. But he never stopped. He never said, "I give up." He just learned and moved forward. We can learn that money is not the goal. The goal is to do something that matters. Bill has billions of dollars, but he lives in a normal house. He wears simple clothes. He drives an old car. He does not care about fancy things. He cares about ideas. He cares about people. And we can learn that it is never too late to change. Bill was a tough businessman for many years. People said he was cold. But he changed. He became warm. He became generous. He became a giver. That change did not happen overnight. It took years, but it happened. So if you feel stuck, if you feel like you have made too many mistakes, if you think you cannot change, remember Bill Gates. He changed his whole life in his 40s. You can change too. You do not have to be rich. You just have to decide to be better. Thank you for listening to this whole story. You did something wonderful today. You practiced your English. But more than that, you spent time with the life of a very human man. A man who cried when his mother died. A man who felt lonely even with billions of dollars. A man who learned that helping others is the greatest success. I hope this story stays with you. I hope it gives you a little bit of courage. Maybe tomorrow you will try something new. Maybe you will read a book about something you do not understand. Maybe you will help someone who needs it. That is what Bill Gates would do. That is what we can all do. Come back next time for another story. I will be here. And together, we will keep learning. We will keep growing. Take care of yourself, my friend. Until next time.